My name is Deborah Brock, and I'm the vice chair of the board. Bill Davis, our board chair, cannot attend today's meeting because of the death of his family, so it's all please remember to keep Bill and his family in our thoughts and prayers during this time. But I'll turn the meeting over to Deputy Commissioner Billy Ponder to share some timely tips for our board members and for others listening on about technology we're using for today's meeting. So Dr. Ponder.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. So good to see you all on this cold November day. Don't invite me in the elevator how much I actually like the cold. Maybe when it starts, but why are you living in Atlanta? Because I guess we get like fire all the time. So anyway, just I think we're all used to this slide. For our board members joining virtually, the meeting is audio only. I think you can mute and mute yourselves. And any issues you can on the chat box. We have some great team members from our research team that will be willing to assist you. For our friends from the general public, you will remain muted throughout the meeting. The agenda does not include a Q&A session. That is standard for board meetings. It does include a public comment period. The public may type comments in the chat box. Those comments will be shared with the board. The minutes will be posted at a later date. And the board summary will be posted within 2 business days. We also post that. So with that, Deborah, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you so much. So I'll call the board order 2022 meeting of the Board of Early Care and Learning to order. At this time, we want to call the roll in numerical order by district. When I read your name, please respond verbally so that we can ensure your attendance is recorded for our meeting, and also just a reminder for myself and for everyone else to ensure that you have your mic in front of you and it is a green mic and you are speaking directly into the mic and not turning side to side so that we can hear your name clearly. So Bill Davis, our board chair who represents District 1, is absent. District 2, Susan Harper. Present. Patty Howell, our board secretary, who represents District 3, is absent. District 4, Carlos Zizou. Present. The District 5 board position is vacant. District 6, Christy Dean. Present. District 7, Kristen Morrissey. Present. District 8, Luann Purcell. District 9, Christina Michelle. Present. Joanna Hill, who represents District 10, is absent. District 11, Jen Benke is joining us virtually.
Good morning, present. Could you hear me?
The District 12 board position, Kimberly Nobel, is also joining us virtually.
Good morning, present.
District 13, Melissa Bookhouse. And I am the representative from District 14, Deborah Brock. So you have in front of you your copy of today's agenda. Please review, and if there are no questions or changes, we need a motion and a second to approve the agenda. And just a reminder to make sure that you're speaking directly into your mic. So I have a motion. Okay. Luann Purcell. Do I have a second?
Christy Beam, second.
Thank you very much. Are there any oppositions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. So we also received a draft copy of the minutes of the August 2022 board meeting. Does anyone have any questions about or corrections to the minutes? If not, we need a motion and a second to officially approve the August 2022 minutes.
So moved, Susan Harper.
Second?
Second, Kristen Morrissey.
Are there any oppositions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Our inspiration today will be by Christine Morrissey.
Good morning. So I started to plan and think about inspiration for this meeting around Thanksgiving. I thought about all the fun things that children do in classrooms this time of year to celebrate Thanksgiving. And I thought back about when I was a kid and seeing the kids in the classroom. We always took those paper plates and you traced your hand and you made the little Thanksgiving turkey with feathers. Or we dressed up as settlers and pilgrims to celebrate the first Thanksgiving. Or those of us who are a little older, we might have churned butter. You remember that? But all those things made me think about how happy the kids are in the classroom and as they celebrate these things. So I searched about different ways that children can celebrate and be grateful for what the Thanksgiving holiday. And I kept coming up with all these lesson plans for teachers to teach children how to be grateful. But the more I thought about it, children are just naturally born happy. They already are happy and they're grateful. So what I thought about was they're born happy, but it is often is what's going on in the world is what makes our children perhaps seem like they're not as happy. And I think that's why all of us in our day lives, why we do what we do. As adults, we've seen so much. We've seen life challenges. We've seen a pandemic that brought the world to a stop. And then we've seen the opposite more recently, the challenge of properly allocating the rising revenues. But when you walk into a Georgia pre-K classroom, you see those happy, smiling faces. You see the dedicated teachers helping kids learn and play. We see children thriving and learning. And we see teachers that show up and work hard every day. The DECAL staff, they found ways to make everything come together throughout all the challenges over the last few years. And that's why we do all that we do. Children are that important to us. They are the future. So again, I searched my local library trying to find a short story or a poem that can put this into one melted idea. And I found this short story by Anne Morris. She's an award-winning short story, bilingual children's author and speaker and Spanish language consultant. And it's called Why Are Children So Important to Us? There's a copy in your packet behind the copy of the PowerPoint. So this is a variation on it. It goes like this. Children dream. They have an undying faith in us, and we form a generation that many times is merely and only a minority that truly advocates for them. Children are beautiful and innocent and full of love. They believe in magic. Part of all of us are still children at heart, which must be why we enjoy escape of reading children's books. We admire their confidence as they follow along, trusting that things will be okay because their parents told them so. We need to learn from children. Their sunshine and sparkle shine through their laughs and their eyes. They allow us to relive the silliness we try so hard to express ourselves as adults. Why is that? We feel more alive when we let ourselves dream and believe in magic. We feel more hopeful and warm inside when we tell someone it's going to be okay. Happy endings are much softer landings. We need to help protect the world of our children. We need to read to them and teach them. We must do our best to advocate for them, to share the good news of their successes, big and small. We must continue to support those around them who outlive them and believe in a better tomorrow. Remember to smile and feel all the hope that the world at times seems so hard to work to deflate. If nothing else, we must remember that these young, innocent souls need us, and they need our help, our trust, and our belief that tomorrow can be magic. We can make magic by doing things today for our children. So when they grow up, they believe in humanity. We can listen to our inner child and hope, love, and believe that all things will be better because we want to do things to make it better. Shall we get started? And just as a little present for the holiday season, the board has all got a little bit of pumpkin chocolate cookies with a mug, and then the executive staff also. So I'll have a mug in the right corner there, but you can get it for the meeting.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Those words of wisdom are so inspirational. Appreciate it so much. So at this time, we're excited to hear the board members as they share DECAL-related activities since the last board meeting. So I'll begin. So I was able to attend in Dalton the 10th anniversary of Molly Rated. It was a wonderful experience, and I really enjoyed it and appreciate the invitation. In District 4, we had Susan, assistant investigator, our pre-K participated in a literacy week with Read to Me is On. That was partly fundraiser, but partly encouraging family reading practices, and then culminating in a book parade. It was beautiful and lovely, and just a great time to get kids reading.
I'll just say on a very personal note that my grandson just started in daycare, and my daughter was insistent. She was looking for all the stars, and she anyway, he is in a quality weight rated program, and quite a runny nose, but other than that, he is doing wonderful. So I read.
There was an exciting announcement about pre-K teacher of the year in our district, but I think we'll touch on that later. So.
Anyone else? At this time, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Amy Jacobs.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here for our last board meeting of the calendar year, especially that our November squad being back in person board meetings. Thank you, Ms. Thank you for your thanks for those who are joining us online. I want to talk about a few things. A milestone that we are celebrating here at DECAL, some recognition that we're doing with some of our teachers, and then a launch of a really important organization that we now have involved in. So, as you know, and as you've heard over the last several board meetings, we have a huge milestone here at DECAL that we're celebrating this year, which is Quality Rated's 10th anniversary, and we have many, and this plan, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I just want to just give you a little bit of background. Quality Rated began obviously 2 years ago, 2012, at the direction of then Governor Nathan Deal. We're very fortunate, and DECAL had begun this work. They were ready to go, they were ready to launch it. But back in 2012, I'm told, because I wasn't in the position then, about 120 programs have agreed to participate in this launch. And now, today, we're almost at 3,000 that are rated. So they've gone through the process, they've submitted the portfolio, they've CTA, they've received an assessment from quality rated assessor to receive that 1, 2, or 3 star, which means hundreds of thousands of individuals, first to 5 are in high quality areas. And that's a huge milestone for DECAL, for Myers, and for our state. Which is why we have planned several celebrations that began in September when we did a kickoff with Quality Rated Day at the Braves game. We're also doing some regional celebrations. We also want to make sure that we provide something in recognition to quality rated programs around the state. And so, beginning in 2023, we will be providing all on-rated programs top of the road, public classrooms. And along with that, of course, will be a teacher toolbox so that they can incorporate that book into their daily routines. And then a new thing that was privately funded, our new quality rated science. If you have been out and about, you may have seen these new signs in this hall. Sometimes they say pre-K, sometimes they say quality rated, sometimes they say no. We haven't done this in quite a few years, so they're getting a little dated and a little better. And so, with a generous donation from the United Way, we might have over $500,000. We may be replacing all these signs with quality beginning of next year. And when I say to anyone when we ask for $500,000, and help me with this, or my grandparents too, director of our foundation. There you are. They think science are really big deal to childcare programs. I ride around all the time just to do my daily errands and with my children, and I see them everywhere. And so they're a big deal. I know it sounds like maybe that's not advertising, but we really like to have to show that we're excited to deliver those very soon. So I mentioned in September, we started off our year-long celebration with Quality Rated Day at the Braves game. We had a tent outside so that parents and children can buy learn about Quality Rated, win a prize, and win a prize about Quality Rated. And then we were able to actually have over the loudspeaker an announcement in our commercial on Quality Rated. And thanks to some private funding from our foundation, we were able to celebrate with our staff at the Braves game, which was really fun just to kick it all off. As Deborah mentioned, we are doing some regional visits because our childcare programs are what we're trying to focus on in the celebration. We've done our first regional visit, which was in Dalton back in October, and we visited two programs that are part of the class of 2012 center. They received that initial rating then, and they are still rated today. We visited Whitfield Health and Daycare, which you'll see as a great towards explanation of the amazing services that this program is able to provide to the young kids in the community. And Sarah was there with us for this visit, as well as our visit to the Friendship House, which is another quality living program member at the class of 2012. And they also provide just great services to children. Great program involved. Then we celebrated with the providers in the area. You can see this picture. We recognized and gave an award to the class of 2012 providers that are in that general area. We had a nice lunch in recognition of these providers. And we also, at these celebrations, are awarding a community service award. And this is Dixie Kennard. I don't know, Susan and Lynn, if you remember her, but I'm told she's on our board. I was a Dixie Kennard. Yeah. She's from Dalton, and she received the award from DECAL for her service and just her commitment to early learning. She's really been a huge advocate for early learning in her community for decades. Before I got here, I understand she was a DECAL board, and she was just an incredible lady to meet, and her passion for early learning was amazing. So it was very, very nice to recognize her. Tomorrow, we will celebrate in Metro Atlanta. And I believe the press release is going out, and so we will be recognizing since he requested that DECAL begin tolerated, and we were recognizing. So we're very excited to see him. So we also recognize some exceptional educators in September. As you know, we've been a teacher program for 7 years now. And we're able to do some visits and recognize the winners. There are two winners, Shannon Gibson from Baldwin Elementary School in Baldwin, Georgia, and Elena Jones from Acres Academy in Cumming. You will meet them soon as you have a meeting coming up to hear about the experience. Shannon graduated from the University of North Georgia, and she has been teaching for 13 years. And Alana graduated from the University of Florida. She has been teaching English since 2013. You'll see here where we do a surprise visit, and obviously the students don't have any idea while we're there, but they get excited. Usually the teacher trainers are there, and their administration leaders, and always just a good day to celebrate with your teachers. And this is partly funded by the foundation, by the Series Foundation, so we're able to offer personal checks to these teachers of the year to recognize them. You will meet them at a board meeting. New to our Early Educator of the Year program, which is through our foundation, is Georgia's Early Educator of the Year. As you know, we celebrate pre-K, but we also want to celebrate the teachers of the younger ages. And so this is our second year recognizing this group of educators, and just announced the finalists for these educators. So we have 3 categories. And the finalists for in the category Diane Coggins. She is a learning village in College Park. She's beginning to chapter right now. Williams is also the finance benefits personalities. And then in our toddler category, Janet Thomas from the Right Start Early Learning Center 2 at the Palmetto, Georgia, and Elion Aguilera from Ellie's Academy in Los to talk about us. And we also have a preschool category, and those two finalists are Tierra Falcon from Academy in South Georgia, she's began to talk about, and Ashley Langley from the Wasaga School in Athens, Georgia. So then we go through a similar process that our pre-K teachers of the year go through, and we will pick their coach category. That will also be another exciting way to recognize early childhood educators who is entirely funded by the Syrian Foundation. And then finally, in November, we were happy to support the launch of the Georgia Association for Infant Mental Health, which we call Georgia AIM. And this is an organization that DECAL and many others supported to establish as the Georgia chapter of the National Alliance for the Advancement of Mental Health. We were one of just a few states that did not have their own chapters, and we were happy to support along with many others. So Georgia AIM will serve as a home for professional development opportunities around childhood mental health for the workforce, for pediatricians and visitors, or interventionists, and of course, through the care workforce and those that support young children and their families. It's housed at Georgia State University for leadership and disability, with a mission to build the capacity. We heard a little bit before about our work around making early childhood and mental health, and everyone else is hear a little bit more from Laura Lucas, our director of that work here at DECAL. But we were really excited to be able to support this association and then on the professional workforce that we need to provide these services to children. That is all I have for you.
While we're waiting for the next one, let me interject. This is Susan Harper. Right from the start, part of the organization, maybe Amy, you can help me. Where scholarships were offered or passed on to some youngsters. It was over $1,000.
At college.
So a young man in the Albany area was the recipient of this path to college. So his family came to the daycare center where he is served and gave him a check. It was over $1,000. And the school also got the same amount of money. So after college is partnered with right at the start, and there were 5 or 6 youngsters that got this scholarship.
Yeah. That's a good reminder. And that, so the Path to College Georgia's 529, yes, I didn't contribute that, which is the college savings plan for the state, which is attached to the Georgia State Finance Commission. And they've been doing this with us for many, many years, where they try to just bring some awareness to the plan, get folks starting early about contributing to their college plan, and then they'll do the scholarship to the individual child, and then they'll also utilize the future program. So that's a nice little outreach to them. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Jacobs. At this time, Deputy Commissioner Brian Reedside will give us our finance update.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see everybody in person again. I like this trend. It's always kind of odd to present on $1 billion budget and you're getting over Zoom. So it's nice to see everybody in person. I'm going to start out with my standard quarterly financial update. This table shows our budget, expenditures, and remaining balance as of the end of Q1 for state fiscal year 2023. This as of 9/30, excuse me, 2022. This is as of 9/30, which means 25% of the year has gone by, and we have 75% of the year remaining. The top table shows the budget, expenditures, and remaining balance by program. And the bottom table shows as you can see in the bottom right corner of either table, we have 76% of our budget remaining, 75% year. So we finished up the first quarter in pretty good position. I also want to call out the total budget and expenditures number on both the top and the bottom table, mostly because of the size of them. As you can see, we got a $1.85 billion budget. The main reason I just want to point that out is that's more than double our normal budget of $938 million. You can see we've already spent almost $500 million in just one quarter. So we're essentially spending double. We have a budget that's twice as big as it normally is, and we're spending double what we normally spend. The reason for that are all the COVID-19 federal relief funds that we received, and I think you guys have heard a lot of things the projects, various projects we have on. But it's a whole different world. It's crazy. I remember, I guess it was a year ago where we joined the $1 billion club because we spent just over $1 billion. Actually, part of the next slide. Also, the state auditors are here doing their engagement. I think some of you guys probably received an email from them. It's just their standard notification of the year. They have not wrapped up their report yet, so I don't really have anything to report, but all seems to be going well. I think they also usually interview Bill, who's not here today, but that's moving along, and obviously we get the results of the audit. Okay, I also want to give an update on our federal nutrition programs. 9/30/2022 is also the end of federal fiscal year 2022. So I have some stats from the year to share with you. Between our two programs, Child and Adult Care Food Program and Happy Helpings, we served just under 68 million meals last year at over 4,000 sites and 157. We're very proud of that. That number actually is down a little bit from previous years, and that's any program that people are congregating, numbers are generally down. So normally that number is closer to 75. Also want to give an update on the startup grants that we got. I mentioned these to you in the previous board meeting. We got $300,000 in the amended 22 budget to give startup grants to Happy Helping sponsors who would love to expand their meal service into unserved or underserved counties. Now that the summer is over, we've been able to kind of get today from the programs, crunch the numbers, and we were able to serve almost 30,000 meals at 27 additional sites in 13 counties that did not have meal service. We're really excited about that. And here's some of the things, some of the non-food items that sponsors bought with the grant money. A lot of them bought freezers. You can see the insulated milk box with the delivery bags. One sponsor was really creative and paired our grant money with some other money they had so they could deliver food into a neighboring county where they did not have stock. So that startup grants has been a great success. That was an ad from the Senate in the 2022 budget, and we reported back to them all this information. We'll just keep our fingers crossed that they continue to do something. That's my presentation. Anybody got any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of that. At this time, Deputy Commissioner Susan Adams will update us on Georgia Pre-K.
Good morning. It's good to see everyone. I'm going to do some updates, and I'm also going to have our that are going to be updating you today. So I want to start with talking a little bit about pre-K enrollment and what we're seeing and trending at this point. So you know that we collect pre-K enrollment from student roster 4 times a year. The data that I'm going to talk about today is going to be from our first roster and trended over time. So what we're doing is comparing enrollment over time, and you'll see that prior to the pandemic, we served a little over 80,000 kids. And that has been consistent for a couple of years. Then during the pandemic, you'll see in 2021, we dropped down to about 63,000 kids. It's pretty consistent what we saw, what we see with other state-funded programs, K-12. Last year, we saw moving back to a lower 2,000 heads. And then you'll see this year, we're still at about just a little more. So we only see a slight increase until about 73,000. Serving about 54% of the eligible 4-year-olds. Those are kids that are 4 by September 1st, so they can transition to kindergarten. I'll tell you, we don't know right now what is it. I can tell you, in a world according to Susan, and what I know is that we feel like it will continue to trend up. We have talked with other state preschool programs and see similar patterns. But we also know that the pandemic has changed how families are making choices for their young children. And so some of them are flexible in their work schedules. We see looking at choosing different types of programs, and then some families that are still choosing they're not ready to jump back into school programs as a public. We're going to continue to trend this. We're actually going to work with one of our research partners that's going to come in and help us understand the data. Because it could also be that we need to look at moving classrooms around to where families maybe better able to access the services. But at this point, this is kind of where we know and what we're at. I'm going to stop because some of you have pre-K questions. Any questions about the enrollment?
I have a question, or I guess a comment or observation. The increase of the homeschooling movement, I think that's affecting our pre-K significantly. I know that in Doherty County, there's a huge homeschooling emphasis, and they are organized amongst themselves. So that's probably one of the reasons we're not seeing the rise.
A lot of people are just choosing to not go back to work. Maybe it's a lot more stay-at-home parents, moms or fathers are just choosing to stay home if they're not putting their child.
So both of those may be factors in enrollment. We just don't know if this is how important what we're doing. It is looking at both state trends and national trends to understand both for both the data and then also what's happening in K-12. And then specifically, we're going to be collecting some additional data here. We do anticipate that that's going to go up as we think about what we need to do to look at enrollment. We're actually in the process of building a new LT system that will actually include a parent portal where families can go in and be able to select pre-K online, be able to contact those programs through that system. And so we think that also there are strategies we can do. Chrissy, do you have a question?
No, I was just going to say birth rates are also trending down, and we're starting to see the results of that in pre-K, kindergarten, et cetera, across the nation.
You are correct. And we have begun to see the trend down in birth rates prior to the pandemic, and then you see it continuing. And so we'll continue to look at that and see how it impacts. But we also know with only 4% of the children, there are certainly opportunities to fill those slots. And so we'll continue to look at this strategy.
I just have a question. I would imagine that there are pre-K programs that during all of this had to drop classes because they didn't have the enrollment. Is it easy for them to get classes back added to their, like, how do you decide?
So as we've looked at how we're going to handle classroom enrollment, we have closed some classes in the last years, but not as many as you would imagine, because we've really been pretty judicious about how we choose them. We're looking for not only just issues in the last few years. We were closing classrooms that had a history maybe of low rosters, and also maybe a combination of maybe having other kinds of quality issues. However, many times what we've done with programs is multiple classes. And so you went from 3 classes to 2. There's still a pre-K provider. They can sort of get a lot. It would be fairly easy for them to be awarded again. And then with programs that maybe have 1 class, that may be a place that we may allow them to run for the lower enrollment, knowing that we need to make sure that it is. And so we tried to think about the long game as we thought about that. And then also we wanted to make sure if there are classrooms that are low enrollment, is it due to the pandemic or is it due to children of small and the number of children or families in that? Those were our questions.
All right, I did think of a question now. Just curious, kind of along that same lines, have you broken down the data? Is it more in metro Atlanta? Is it rural areas where we're seeing, like, are there pockets where we're getting closer to 100% of students being served?
So it's pretty, yes, but not consistent. So we have some communities that, as you can see, we still continue to have wait lists. So we have areas of the state where all children are being served. And maybe there's not capacity in that area to offer them. There's other areas where we see classes are more likely to be low, but it doesn't get trended like metro or the county level or rural areas. It still tends to be a little bit all over the place. That is one of the reasons that we are going to be working with our research team internally and with a partner to better understand the data. We know a lot about Georgia pre-K data, but we also need to make sure we're not making assumptions that may be based on the old system. Great question. So
One more question. So with the enrollment dropping, but there are wait lists, how many years ago did we have to increase class sizes? Teachers would like to get back down 20 versus 22. Can that be factored into?
Certainly, if we think about opportunities for quality and maintaining the quality of the pre-K program, one of the things that we'd like to see is to go back to a class size of 20. I will tell you, on average, we see that classrooms have 20 or 21 kids. Full capacity is 22. We're looking at options there, but it's also a pretty significant amount of money, even with a low enrollment, to how to shift that back to 20. But that being said, it is something that, as we think about understanding the data and research, maybe a lot. All right, so you see a slight increase in waiting lists. And like I said, one of the strategies that we'll be doing is in our new pre-K IT system, there will be a family portal. We feel like we'll be better able to get better information about families that are looking for pre-K. So we'll learn about that as we figure that out. All right. So celebrating Georgia pre-K, we have 30 years here of our pre-K program this year. We're excited about that. We have been working with Voices for Children for 10 years now to celebrate annually Georgia's pre-K meeting of person. We ask for legislators, all of our legislators are invited of our state and our federal partners to visit the Georgia pre-K program to understand really at a local level and experience the high quality that our four-year today. Many of you always celebrate pre-K with us, so here's some pictures of some board members that were out and about visiting, and we always appreciate your support. Maria Remote from Voices for Georgia's Children is going to be joining us in a few minutes, so I'm going to skip ahead. She's let us know that she is running just a few minutes. All right, well, I'm gonna flip through these while I introduce our next speaker. I'm gonna shift from free day and we're gonna talk about workforce. And I'm gonna invite Ward, who's our director of professional learning, who's gonna give us some work.
As Susan said, I have some updates for you today in terms of professional emergencies in our work. I want to start off by giving you an update on our current this year for me. We finished up our power rounds, we finished up power round 3. I'll give you some updates on this number. Then I have 2 updates for 2 programs that we're going to professional that's our online learning initiative for Holly. So let's go ahead and start with power. As a reminder, power stands for provider workforce institute recognition. These are the $1,000 supplemental payments that they're able to workforce funded through some of our COVID relief funds. This file is table for this is just a reminder of who is eligible. Individuals have to work for at least 20 hours per week, in eligible program, in eligible role. We have a variety of roles that are eligible: instructional staff, workforce, assistants, needs, others, but also directors, assistant directors, nutrition staff, custodial staff, bus drivers, family service workers, anyone who's working in that program in direct service to children and families are eligible for our programs that are eligible for licensed programs and licensed exemplary SR programs, whether they're in public schools or outside. And so just as a little update, this is where we landed at the end of round. We have dispersed over $100 million through this project. We're very proud of this because we know that during the pandemic and providing these financial support was very important for them to use in whatever way they needed to support themselves or their families, whatever they wanted to process. So you see here, we started in the round 2 in September of last year. I can see round 1. Round 2, we opened up the applications in January of this year. So also $114 million distributed. So that is my power update. Sometimes you get questions about power, so before we go on to the other updates, just have to pause and see what questions you have. All right, so let's move on. So I haven't spoken to you in quite a while about our online learning initiative for Omni. So I wanted to let you know what's been going on with that recently. So this is a series of online courses that are available to our workforce through our professional development system, or PES as we call it. You actually are familiar with Omni in your industry. I see you shaking your head. Yes, thank you. So you know what it's like to take a Poly course, you know the look and the feel of Poly because you we have other courses on Poly that are available for the staff. We also have divisions that use it for onboarding, and they have their onboarding trainings on Poly. But the bulk of our courses are available for what we call external Polys. Providers, directors, teachers, trainers, coaches, technical assistants, providers, again, anyone working with supporting children and families, we have online content available to them. It's free to anyone that has an PNS account, just make sure your PNS account is free too. These are free trainings available to these individuals. Currently, there are over 50 courses available. For that external audience, those courses are available in English and Spanish, so they can take it in whichever language they prefer. In 2022, federal fiscal year 2022, we added 20 courses. So that's what I have to do. So we have always have courses that are at various stages of the development, working with the visions to develop content, working with the training university, school courses, working with our IT team, our professional development system team to actually test the courses at the beginning. So our next area of focus is going to be utilizing our ARPA funds to hit some of those priorities that you see in our ARPA. We made some specific trainings to substitute teachers or substitute So next year, you'll see us really hitting those and focusing on those as a series as well. So the next thing I want to share with you is just my last time today. On our professional learning community, PLC facilitator training. So just to kind of give you a landscape, if you will, of the resources that we provide in professional learning, we know that training is important. Things like quality. Sure that teachers have access to online or face-to-face trainings where they can develop knowledge in the areas of learning instruction. The other side of that is making sure that they have an opportunity to develop skill and actually implementing that knowledge that they learn in the classroom. So that happens through things like coaching, providing direct technical assistance, mentoring, and of course professional learning. So we have a training series where we actually train people to facilitate professional learning communities. The audiences for this are typically going to be trainers, our technical assistance providers, staff participate, higher ed instructors also participate, as well as directors of programs. So people who are working for with the teachers who are implementing instruction. So this is an example. So I'm not going to go through all the details of this slide. I wanted for us to have this in the this is the structure that we take at DECAL, where we promote, where we try to be. So I just wanted you to that. So actually today, I should say, we have people who are training, facilitator training right now. They are meeting, they're getting training, they are running out. So here's kind of where we stand with PLC. Since 2016, we've trained 392 people to facilitate. We started with challenge grant. We realized that the house was a high water community. And then we have 208 professionals who have taken the challenge to take second year of training to go deeper in understanding how to facilitate professional learning communities, to practice that skill, and then actually create a portfolio where they demonstrate that they have the competencies that we expect to see for PLCs. Once they do that, that portfolio is actually reviewed, and they need criteria. We actually in the state of Georgia right now have 208 certified PLCs. I think it's amazing. We've made some recent updates that I want to discuss. First one is we have virtual adoption. That's in 2016, we would never have a virtual adoption with this program, but it's only here. I said PLCs are face-to-face trainings. This training even as itself face-to-face. It's hard to do this work. And in 2020, they need more. So where we are now is we have learned, the professional learning team has really hit hard in learning and understanding how to support engagement and this type of work in virtual. So we offer the training virtually. We also have content embedded in training to support these facilitators. Also need their PLCs. Engagement looks different virtually. And so it helps to develop those skills to be able to achieve that. We also have PLCs for DECAL managers. Many of them have staff who've gone through the facilitator training program, and they want to support their staff in thinking about how to embed this in their work. The best way for us to do that is to allow those managers to experience the PLC, to understand what it's about, what it's like, and then they can support their staff and think about how to apply it. So we've been able to do that for DECAL managers. And then also now a lot of PLC facilitators offer training. It's really actually very important for the licensing will specify that individuals have to complete 10 hours of training annually as part of those licensing requirements in the program. And we'll be training to improve the management staff, so PLCs. I've said a lot about PLCs, said a lot about quality, but I just thank you so much for your time today. And turn it back over to you.
I do want to commend Christy and our professional learning team on the work she talked about today. Federal grants often allow us to have opportunities to promoting. The work that she talked about veterinary communities, something that was challenge grant, and really started with me asking the question, what would it be like if teachers had opportunities to be together, had opportunities to help each other out in practice in real life? What's that look like? And so they really take those concepts to scale. They think about how to be adaptive to both things that change, like virtual environments. It's been a real pleasure for us to see how we're change and evolve over time. And for our learning providers, we just work in very different systems to have that opportunity, have that high quality professional learning, where they're not just getting knowledge, they're getting the support to implement that in classroom. Also, today I want to introduce you as a mentor. She is our infant early childhood mentor. Also, doing groundbreaking work around supporting our youngest children in their mental health. A couple years ago, we did not have talked about mental health very much. People were not ready for that. And Laura has quietly, in many positions here in Georgia, just never before, and we're really excited that in the 2 years that she's been there, our agency, we've been able to see this work really move forward. Commissioner spoke about the association. Laura's going to talk about that more, but also about really exciting work where we're able to make sure that people have access to mental health services, and then also ways to pay for those services. So true. So,
Thank you, Susan. Good to be here today. Okay, so when we talk about infant early childhood and mental health, we're really talking about meeting the social and emotional health needs of young children and their families. We know that 9 to 14% of children ages 0 to 5 experience emotional or behavioral health disturbances, which is the same rate as school-aged children. Mental health doesn't begin when children start kindergarten. It's an essential part of healthy development from the very beginning. To better support the mental health of young children, you need a system that offers services, supports, and a continuum of care that meets the child and family where they are and provides what they need to be mentally healthy. This slide is a visual representation of what an early childhood system looks like. And as we can see, there are many layers and parts that can build a comprehensive system of care. When we received the legislative recommendations, we knew that established my position. We knew that we needed partners, as you cannot build a system on your own. So DECAL established the Infant Early Childhood Mental Health Task Force with representatives from state child serving agencies and community partners to come together and build a better system in Georgia to support the social and emotional health needs of young children and their families. And I'm happy to say that we made considerable progress. As we began building this system, we knew that mental health service access was the most urgent issue. In Georgia, young children experiencing trauma didn't have anywhere to go for services, and families were turned away from receiving mental health services because the child was too young or because there was no providers. Even if there were providers that served young children, there was no clear way to build the services. Today, we report that this work has been able to directly impact families by expanding access to mental health services and supports for the district child population. In the area of policy and finance, we were able to work with partners from the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Facilities and the Department of Community Health to identify existing Medicaid billing pathways for behavioral health services for the infant and toddler population. In fact, we have a new webpage on the Georgia Medicaid website called Infant Early Childhood Behavioral Health Services. This webpage includes tools to support mental health practitioners to bill for services, including a chart that identifies billing pathways
and a detailed billing document that lists specific billing codes that can be utilized for early childhood mental health services. This site will serve as a billing toolkit for early childhood mental health providers. But we didn't stop there, as we needed to build a clinical workforce in Georgia using evidence-based and best practices to serve young children and their families. We educated clinicians in the DC-05, which is an age-appropriate tool used to assess and diagnose young children with mental or developmental issues. Then we created a Georgia DC-05 crosswalk, which matches the age-appropriate diagnosis for young children to ICD-10 diagnosis, which is currently recognized by Georgia Medicaid billing practices. We've even received national recognition for this achievement from the National Center for Medicaid Services. We've also trained clinicians in childcare and psychotherapy, evidence-based dyadic or fusion caregiver and the child together. A model treating young children that experience trauma, struggle with social and emotional issues. We now have almost 100 childcare and psychotherapists taking referrals across the state. While we're still working to expand and sustain this new level of service in Georgia, this is a vast improvement in access to mental health services for children and their families. This work has been spotlighted nationally for the cross-agency approach to DECAL, Department of Public Health, and the United Way all contributed funds to expand this workforce. As the commissioner mentioned earlier, DECAL has supported the establishment of the Georgia Association for Infant Mental Health. This will serve as the infant early childhood mental health training and workforce development hub for our state. This organization is supported by many different funding sources and will be key in sustaining professional development opportunities for the early childhood workforce. While a lot of these efforts are more on the treatment end of the system, I want to mention that we're also looking to promote infant early childhood mental health and prevent social and emotional health issues in young children. So we're using ARPA funds to provide infant early childhood mental health consultation, which is an evidence-based service in which mental health professionals, early childhood training, work with the adults in young children's lives to support healthy social and emotional development. We are currently in the training and evaluation planning phase of this project. So I'll have to come back to update you guys. This slide here contains links to provide you more information about each of these updates. So you have some reading time at home, you can go and click on these links and find out more. So today with an invitation for you. We're currently getting the third annual Children's Mental Health Week, to recognize and celebrate children's mental health, specifically the early care and learning centers and in pre-K classrooms. Children's Mental Health Week is DECAL's promotional effort to normalize the conversation around infant early childhood mental health, reducing the stigma, and to let kids, parents, teachers, and caregivers know that mental health is an essential part of overall well-being. Past activities include puppet shows, self-care gift cards, and professional development opportunities for teachers. And we even did some coaching last year around how to build a chill-out zone or a zen-in classroom. This year, we're excited to offer opportunities for you to participate, so you have a look at information on how you can help us promote children's mental health the first week of May. Any questions?
Thank you so much for those updates. I see that as such an urgent need daily in my work. Okay, so we appreciate all your hard work. At this time, we are running a little ahead of schedule, and we will be having a 10-minute break. And Susan is going to rejoin us to introduce someone who's going to share information on Georgia Fruit Baby.
Yes, I'm happy to, introduce our partners from Georgia Voice of Cultural Reach Children. We talked briefly about PK Week. They've been a great partner for over 10 years. Early enrollment and give us more information. She is a special contact administrator and has been working with us on this for a number of years. You would not believe the number of hours that go into making sure that visits are scheduled for every legislature, they're moved when there's a conflict. And then we also work to make sure that we have staff there or voices staff at every visit that they're able to facilitate and talk about the program. So I'm in the front right now. And she's going to share more information.
So this will probably be the cutest presentation I've seen all day. The photos that we have to share are adorable. And pre-K week is easily my favorite part of my job. I've been doing this for about 3.5 years now. And every time pre-K week goes around, I get very and it's absolutely good. It's a full-time job. 40 plus hours a week. Prep. So again, my name is Maria Ramos. So I'm here to talk a little bit about pre-K. So without getting into the nitty-gritty sorts of details about how pre-K started, it has been around for 12 years now. This is our 12th year hosting the event. It's a week-long celebration of the state nationally recognized pre-K program and other quality early learning programs. It really gives state elected officials, state leaders, agency heads, community members, organizations, a chance to get out in the community, visit pre-K sites in your district, your community, and engage. Visit their youngest constituents, see quality early learning in action, take a tour of the site, and legislators always take a look about the individual So this year, pre-K week was held October 7th. We had 81 state leaders to make a total of 110 visits. 81 state leaders captured state legislators as well as agency commissioners and governor state leaders. I will say a note about that. We anticipated that this year there would be more than certainly they have been for some reason. Maybe going to pre-K sites is total. There was still some apprehension. We had a handful of legislators get sick and have to get visit, unfortunately. And then a few other competing factors. Election year. We had a lot of legislators retired this year. But we're still very proud of the number of state leaders who were able to engage and get out into the community. And another point I'd like to make too is this last one here. So of all of the current legislators in the Senate and the House, 73% have participated in pre-K at some point over the past couple years. And I'd like to highlight two representatives in particular, Representative Sharon Cooper and Representative Chuck Martin. They have participated every single year of pre-K weeks. They are very dedicated. Here are the time photos I was talking about. Here, just starting from the top, we have Congressman Sanford Bishop, we have Senator William Garrett, we have Governor First Lady Kemp. In the middle there, we have Chuck Manning on the ground, and then not a legislative seat, to engage this year, thanks to Reg and Jerry, radio personality Franks. And then just beyond the state elected
officials and state leaders that we interact with and host pre-K week. We obviously engage a lot of pre-K centers and providers. This year we have over 800 pre-K centers to officially register for an event, even though we know that more than 800 participate. A lot of the sites don't go through the time of our form and registering, but they will host leaders and local community members. And then this year was a bigger year in terms of the number of counties that we touched. So 805 pre-K centers across 143 counties. Just those counties that we engaged with or maybe registration. And then just a list of the local leaders that a lot of the centers will host, known by mayors, superintendents, PhDs, firefighters, more. So these are just a few ways that local providers will get excited about the event and promote it. See that one, maybe little signs, even yard signs to each side of registers. You'll see that at the bottom of there. It looks like one side to the. I always like to see the they plan for it, weeks ahead. They'll be able to see each day. I will have a final report that will be released to the leaders of DECAL and give a thorough breakdown of data this year. Just more numbers. I really like to see. Are there any specific questions about pre-K participation?
I would like to know which counties did not celebrate, if they were in my district, which is so rural, if there are not people that are going out for that, so that I can reach out to them next year. So if I'm in District 2, I'd like to know if there were counties in my district that I could reach out to next year.
To that number of 143 counties, that's just the way that we capture those who register. So there could have very well been sites in your district or those counties that did those total leaders, they just didn't go through the formal way of registering. But we can capture both of those. So if there are any gaps, I can let you know. And I think that's good too for future years because we have that registration data. We have the numbers of pre-K sites who do want to do reach out. So when there are gaps, we reach out to the consultant and we help staff say, hey, this county doesn't have any they're not reaching out, they're not registering.
When we have the report about that program, we have to share that. We can also look slowly over the years which legislation have participated, because it could be that just this year something came up. But we'll have to get that together to share that with you as you think about the next year.
When you have a large number of counties, like District is, District 2 happens to be, but a legislator doesn't necessarily live in that county and travel time. They just, they represent a large amount of land for a population.
I want to personally say how much I appreciate all the work that you guys have done for the Georgia pre-K. At the school where I served as principal, I also served as the pre-K site director for 10 years. And the importance of pre-K cannot be overstated. Everything that I talk to parents about centers back to the importance of the students experiencing that pre-K. It just sets the foundation for everything else. And the things that you discussed today, the DLC process, the mental health issues that we are increasingly faced with are a real need and a challenge
challenge that we face on a daily basis, so I appreciate the work that you guys are doing within that area. Next up is Deputy Commissioner Pam Stevens for our Child Care Services Day.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited because it's my favorite board meeting. I'm talking about rule change. So I want to talk to you about the school health and relief effort or sheriff's did with some of our COVID funding. These are provided in, me and don't be permitted because every time I talk about school, I want to because we do so much decal. You think it's worth the fight, we cannot forget that we monitor and license our after-school programs and summer camp for a whole lot of kids. It's really important. I think it's easy to think, they're in school. That's what they're in school. They are in school, but they're also in our child care program. If you're a child who goes to the private school, you're going to several hours every day. Next week, like Thanksgiving week, you're going to be there every day all day. Coming up for Christmas, a couple of weeks, you're going to be there every day all day for 2 weeks. In the summer, you're going to be there all day every day for 10 weeks. So what happens there is really, really important. And you think about the opportunities that a lot of kids have during the summer, during break time. You talk about robotics camp, STEM camp, music lessons, sports activities. You think about opportunity gaps. You think about summer learning loss. Everything that happens in our program, these kids get. And so it's really important that quality programs where you're getting the same opportunities all the other kids. We also need to think and always remember 50% of our tax dollars go to this nation. We talk about caps a lot, we talk about subsidy, how important it is, but out of it is for school population. So we're making a big investment in school age. So we have to think about that too. That's how we support that. And then, this is my last thing, when you think about child care, school age is a little bit the bread and butter of child care. If you have an infant room, you have to have a teacher for 6 kids. In school age, you have a teacher for 25 kids. That's where you make your money. So we're investing heavily. Child care needs school age, and we're responsible for it. That's the context. I would like to say. So we had these grants, share grants, and started last year. We finished up the whole project this year, and it was in 3 parts. We did a grant funding part, like I said. There was a professional development piece to it, and then there was the setup piece. We had 3 types of programs that were eligible. We have licensed and setup providers that serve children who receive tax. So there are some subsets of exempt child care providers who receive tax, and they want to support them. As a child care center serving the school age and we had almost 1,400 applications. And the tier money, the money was based on tiers. The capacity of the program cost. These weren't huge grants, but that's to help, do their school programs on. Just to let you know that most of the programs were licensed child care centers all over the state. We have really representation all over the state. This is important to me because they had 1,300 providers, a little more than that, participate. Hopefully they serve 40 hours. That's a whole lot of kids. And then you think about in terms of you've got 4,000 programs. The population of school age is huge. It's huge. So I was thinking we're a lot of kids. Began located in licensed child care quality centers. This is important transportation. Most of them don't transport home, but most do transport to and from school. This is huge because it gives the parent choice. If you're a parent of a broken child, you can really go anywhere you want to take your child to child care. you are totally controlled by who's in the transport you're going to. So your choices are very limited. Really makes a difference on where your child goes. So again, puts even more importance on making sure that everybody's making good place. All right, so when we asked them, we wanted to collect quite a bit of information while we were doing the application process, what you need for school age care, and they always say, supplies and materials. And that's interesting because the reason for that is it's often in shared spaces. If you're, some of them are located in public schools and they're in the cafeteria, and they just stop. And then they just, they can't use enough phones at school, and they don't have things. If you're in a child care center, you're often sharing space in the afternoon with a pre-K class, and if you have things that are really appropriate for 4-year-olds, not necessarily things that are appropriate for 12. And, they say they needed things and sometimes that's what they're doing sometimes. So, we partnered with GSAM, which is the largest school-age network, which is part of for children, to do our PD training and evaluation pieces part of that. So the first thing we did is before you could even apply for the grant, you have to take a training. You have to take a training. Everyone's trying to take a training for all of us because there's such a lack of training out there. If you have a center and you have 30 teachers, about 28 of them are doing work to 5. Maybe 2 of them are dealing with school age, even though they may be dealing with the biggest percentage of kids in the center. You might have 50 school agers, so like 2 teachers, so you don't really concentrate on school age training. So a lot of them haven't had their school age specific training. Just want to make sure that you're going to participate, you're going to do that first. Then after they go down their application and they do that training, you have a lot of training. I'm sorry. Here we go. And people were happy with it. Love it. Very positive results. We asked them what they needed help with, better training. And one of the things that came up over and over again, and it makes sense, is even school age is too big a block because they were going to do school age training. We need training for kindergarten through 2nd grade and training for 3rd grade. Completely different. Their needs are different. They feel differently about coming to child care. We need different training. And of course, always conflict resolution, behavior management. Because when we talk about behavior challenges, on school age, it can get serious. So again, I think what we learned from our participants that were very positive, they just want more. They want more school age specific content. And we asked them what was the most useful. It's like understanding what they need, what do we do with them. They're here, what do we do with them? We did a summer activity guide. So then we took the group that came about the grants and asked them, are you interested in some small group coaching? And 71 expressed interest, and so about a year ago. And then the next phase after that was to discuss that group and offer them assessments. So, to the program recipients, we ended up like 38 sites, and they were quality rated. We were very interested to know, are they really interested in quality? And they are quality rated. And we have 50 participants out of 39 programs, provide 2-hour sessions all around the high school development quality standards. And again, this is very well stated. So then we asked anybody if you'd like to go even further, if you'd like an assessment or help with your school age program. We had 10 programs. Take us up on that because that's a hard thing to do. Is to ask someone, hey, we're going to evaluate and see how well you're doing. 7 were done in person, 3 done virtually, And they also got their sports, but they also got an action plan. All the sports and, beyond that, so it's help them continue to develop. We use a tool called PQA, that's a force lake. And I was say, you want to five the best score. And this is what we saw in the first domain, the safe environment. They did, also a lot about the grounding we gave them, the sports we gave them, that was easy to set up a good environment. The second domain, supportive environment, again, not as strong scores, but still pretty good. Interaction, again, a little bit all over the place, and we know that's the harder thing, right? That's what's going to take more time. That's what we really need to concentrate on to move people along. And engagement. That's say you can't teach that quick. That's something that shows that we have to move along, but it helps inform us what we need to do next with this population. So that's it. Any questions about school age? I'd be happy if I let everybody say, oh, I didn't know this school age. I'm going to introduce April Rogers, who is one of our amazing CCS directors, one of the smartest people I know. She's going to talk about a project we're really excited about that it's really groundbreaking. And I don't think any other states have done this yet. This is really exciting part.
And before you leave, I'd like to make a comment, an observation about unstructured playtime outside, getting these kids outside, getting them to release their energy. And I ride around my town, past numerous daycare centers, schools. I never see kids outside. You know, they're just not. They don't seem to be taking them outside. And I think part of it, the parents think they're paying for this care, so therefore they expect structure. They obviously, and I understand this, they want homework to be done before they get picked up so that they don't have to deal with it at home. But I see a need to educate the parents that children need to be outside and what they learn from being outside and what they learn from unstructured social engagements.
More like a plan. We rules about outside. We want this, yes. We want them to have unstructured care. I mean, when you get off the school all day, what you need are choices, freedom, relaxing, and what you say, and then, I love that, please, and then. Those are the things you need, but you're right. The parents really want them to do the homework. And so there's a real tension there on, and you understand the parents too, right? You're like, they're stressed, they've been at work, they're thinking, they just have left homework to be done. But again, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, for sure.
I'd like to recommend a book for all of you. It's called The Last Child in the Woods. And it is just outstanding in terms of what children learn and what children need from being outside. So if you get a chance, get your hands on that book. I'd like to see homework eliminated in grade school.
Good morning, everybody. We have been working on a project. Some people at DECAL this as a project that never ends. We actually started this project in 2019 as a conversation. How can we make the information, the licensing information on the website more accessible, more friendly to parents and families to help them understand? And so we started that conversation. We engaged peers at the time and a marketing firm to kind of look at what could we do. We were also we really didn't have a budget for this project in 2019. And then we were fortunate in January of 2020 that DECAL was awarded the Peaceful Development Renewal Grant, and that this project was included in some of that funding.
So in January of 2020, we were able to come back and like refocus and really engage with peers about doing some listening sessions with our staff and focus groups and move the project forward. And so during our evaluation phase, the listening sessions with all DECAL staff, not just child care services staff, but we have many staff at DECAL that work with families, our community partner coordinators, and other staff. Like, what do you guys think that folks want to see? What for information to be at their fingertips about it? It was also important to engage with the provider, the child care provider community, parents of children, and Pam was talking about school age. We made the decision in this to have two sets of focus groups, ages 0 to 5, and then the school age group. We wanted to hear from both. How are you using the information on the DECAL website when you're selecting childcare, monitoring the childcare programs that your children may attend? And so we started all of that. We engaged our internal DECAL development team as a part of it and said, what can we use with the information that's there? And so as I'm walking through and telling you before I show you the dashboard, I'm just giving you an idea of the process that we went through and how we were trying to be intentional in developing this and not just using what we thought should be in it. We wanted to know what other folks thought. And Gears has been super helpful to us, and Hannah's here today in walking us through this process, showing us the feedback, giving us reports from the listening sessions. And here's just some of a couple of quotes from the provider focus groups that Gears shared with us as a part of their work. And of course, you know, they don't tell us who said what, and that's important for us. But the opinion was this will be more user friendly. Because if you're familiar with the website, I'm going to show you in a second. Right now, there's PDF format of our licensing reports. They're written in a very regulatory language, easy for me to understand. Many people in this room can understand it because we've been doing this for a long time. But for families of young children, it may not be as straightforward. What are we talking about when we say activity? What are we expecting when a program provides transportation? And those things just aren't as straightforward to somebody who's not in the business. And then from the family focus groups, those that were a part of the focus groups, like the objectivity of the tool and what was being presented, they said it would give them a peace of mind and something that they could use to monitor compliance and monitor their program. And so this was very early on that we got this feedback. So we were excited that our other folks agreed with our thoughts to simplify what we had on the website. The components of the dashboard that folks liked was the way it looked, the ability to dig deeper if they wanted to. And in a second, when I show you, I'm going to explain that, and to track compliance over time. In the beginning, we went back and forth because we have 5 years of data. If a program's been licensed for 5 years available on the website, is that the information that we put in the dashboard is 5 years? So that was a part of what Gears engaged questioning on is how far back do you want to know compliance for a program? Our thoughts was to maybe pare it down a year and do 4 years, but the feedback we got from those listening sessions was 3 years. And ultimately, that's what we will use when we deploy. So if you're familiar with the website today, we're not changing a lot, but the icon that is in the middle when you do a search is what is new. Development of the icons that you see on the right hand of the screen was very important to us. It was important to hear from the provider community what they thought. In 2016, when we put compliance and enforcement into the rule book with these compliance zones of good standing, support, and deficient, which are assigned at the end of every visit that child care services conducts. Those are on the reports, they're defined on the reports, but do folks really understand it? So we wanted to use that
And I'll say 98 to 99% of childcare programs at any given time are in a good standing status. And so that's what we wanted to promote too. We want families to know that. Childcare does a lot, they have a lot of rules to meet, and most of the time they are meeting those. During the listening sessions, we did receive feedback about those that may not have a compliance designation when folks go to look at it. And that's the fourth icon for pending licensure. When programs go through change of ownership, they may be in an in-between process, and our applicant services unit has issued a permit before they are moving to a temporary license where they don't have a designation. And that just means that the sale of the business is happening. And so we wanted parents and families to know that. So we actually developed an icon for that. So like I said, this is, if you search today and pull up a program, you're going to see exactly this minus the icon in the middle that says compliance at a glance. And then if you scroll, this is where the 5 years of visit reports are available if they choose to do that. I'll go back for a second. So what for the compliance at a glance dashboard, families and those looking at childcare will be able to click on the icon, whatever the icon may be, and then it will take them to the dashboard. And this is the dashboard when it comes up, and like you can see, the 3 official years will be displayed. The plus signs will give them the ability to expand the dashboard. The 2 green boxes, the one on the left is the licensing chapters. There are 38 chapters in centers that we evaluate on a regular basis. There's more chapters than that in the rule book, but that is what we actively evaluate during our visits and that we have defined and that are citable if for rule violations and things like that. So we wanted families to understand in layman's terms what is within each of those chapters. And then on the right, it was important for us and the feedback we received for them to be able to dig deeper at any time during when they were in the dashboard if they wanted to. So at any time they can go back to the full PDF list and do that. So when they click on a fiscal year, this is what they are going to see. The inspection rules met. There's about 473, 74 rules in the center rule book. And like I said, we actively evaluate 362 of those. Some of them are on governing bodies and things that we don't have to look at every visit. So 362 is what we actively evaluate twice a year in the visits we conduct. And for this example on the screen, this program during the fiscal year had 6 rule violations. And then to the right of that, you can see that we have the state average rule violation, which is 2. That small I is a hover over, which will define that, and that's the total number of rule violations by the number of open licensed programs in the state. That will be a static number that will be calculated and published every year. On the left is the licensing rule chapters. Some of them are combined in our visit report system. Like you see at the top, activities and equipment is combined. And that's just ease of a tool for us in teaching our staff. And then the middle column will show the percentage of the rules within that chapter met. And then if they did have any violations, and you can see what I have circled on the screen, it will show the number of violations. And if they want to know specifically what did they get cited for, they can click on the more details. And under more details, it's going to show them the rules. And then if you look at the orange bar at the top, it shows the dates of the visits conducted by child care services. And so you can see the first visit on the left is when they received the 3 citations. And then there was a follow-up visit. One of them was observed completed or corrected, excuse me. And at the second follow-up visit, the other 2. The two of the rules are playground rules, and it could have been at the follow-up visit if it was inclement weather, or that they were still within their plan of improvement period to correct whatever we had cited before. It could have been fence, and a fence having to be replaced takes a bit more time and money, so we will allow more of that. If families want to know, well, what is that rule? What is point 26 for, or point 25.3? They can click on the view rule and see the full rule as it is in the rule book. And then this is the licensing rule chapters that we took, and we engaged our child care services staff to help us pare this down to more layman's terms. And actually, we had a meeting last Friday with Gears and a marketing firm that had done some final feedback surveys. And some of this language, we are revising it, just tweaking it slightly to make it more user-friendly, easier to understand from the heat mapping survey that happened. Activities it's the first one in the list, but it's also the longest in the list. The goal was to have 3 or 4 lines of text to explain a rule chapter. There's so much that is evaluated in activities. That's just why we cannot figure it out much. But most of them we can, so 1 to 4 lines as we go through the 38 chapters, we describe what those licensing chapters are. So our plan is for the dashboard to be deployed in mid-January. Our development team will do that over a weekend, and then it will go live. We will hold webinars with providers just to tell them about it. Gears will continue working with us, and they are going to do some stakeholder engagement. We will have postcards and posters to distribute throughout the state, and hopefully parents and providers alike will be able to use the tool, so parents understand. Childcare is hard. They have a lot of rules to meet every day, and if they have 1, 2, 3, 6 violations in a year, it may not be that serious. They may be very minor violations. I'll take any questions if you guys may have. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much for that. Really a lot of thought went into the development of that tool, and the knowledge is power, and families and centers that use this will appreciate it. At this time, Deputy Commissioner Billy Connor will join us for our quality innovation and partnerships update.
Good morning again, everybody. And thank you again for coming to visit the hall. See you there. It's been a while since I've been out to visit programs. That was a really fun day. So I'm going to actually focus my time on 2 different projects. The first is our community transformation grants. The second will be some of our fusion work that I'll be doing Holly. But I am so excited to be able to talk about these grants. I think it was about 2 years ago, Susan, that you and I sat in a conference room in November 2020. Offices weren't really open. We were kind of, in, and we had this PDG grant that installed a bit because of the pandemic. We allocate some of the funds, and we thought, what are some really, what's some innovative different things we can do? And then working with Laura Wagner and Jill O'Mara, these came to fruition. And it was a way of, what can we as a state do to support local communities and projects that not only can meet some of their needs, but can also foster collaboration and just support local communities. So we developed these grants. You'll see here we're talking about round 1. So these were originally funded at $75,000. They go from July 2021 through December 2022. These were funded through our preschool development grant. And these were designed with the first 5 population focus. Now, what's key to these grants is that we use PDG project. So part of that grant was that we had to develop a needs assessment. And from that needs assessment, statewide needs assessment, we identified, I think, 8 to 9 different local areas. And then we put out, an application, and we asked local communities to write one of those 8 local areas. And it's really interesting to see the applications come in. We got 32 applications, that's a score for that number, and we ended up being able to fund 8 grantees. The for reasons that you can see when you go to the next column, we have now, through funds through our American Rescue Plan, have actually extended the grant period for these 8 grantees through December 2023, and then added an additional 50,000 for these grantees to continue their work. And I just have to say, in doing these community grants, you know, we have different types of them. This sort of amount of funding and this range of funding seems to be a really nice funding amount. Sometimes we fund small amounts, and we actually find that grantees have trouble spending those funds. Sometimes you fund too much, and they also have trouble. So this seems to be, you know, a nice amount. With our American Rescue Plan dollars, and because of the success of these grants, we are actually doing around 2. So 125,000. So we've extended the amount. These will start in January and continue through June 24. Again, these are funded through the American Rescue Plan. Going back to him and talking about school age, and by the way, that's a we're going to have a birth to 8 population focus. And then we, you know, based on some of the stakeholder engagement work we did last year, we slightly revised those focus area, but we had a lot of success with those first ones, and those needs are still there, so we pretty much kept those. And so we 10 plus grantees. So just yesterday, 18 letters went out to 18 grantees saying they had been selected and awarded the grant. So I thought about listening to the grantees and being more specific, because you know, there's a process that you have to do. So, you know, we basically offer the intent award, and then you know, there's a lot. Anyway, just a couple more steps before we can say that those are official grantees. But I am excited to say that we're actually going to 18 new grantees. I tell you, they're really innovative projects, and they're very statewide. You look at it across the map, you just have great representation. I think we share these before. These are round 1 community transformation grantees. Baldwin County Board of Education, Cook County Board of Organics, Greenbrier Children's Center, Net Fully Baby Springs, Quality Care for Children, United Way of Central Georgia, and University of West Georgia College Education and Learning Center. And that last one actually aligns very well with the that you saw in Laura Lewis's presentation. For those of you in the committee, I do have a little bit more of a detailed list of exactly what each one of these grantees are doing, but again, very, very successful with these. And you can probably tell these, one of the local areas is nutrition, and actually 3 of those 8 focus on security. So as part of this, we do our is doing an evaluation being conducted by our friends at the Georgia Early Education Alliance Institute. Olber, who's leading this work, is actually in the room, and this is a lot of talking and gathering information, a lot of qualitative data from some of our grantees. So we'll have a final report from this first round, but a mid-year report, I think, in August and September. And these are just a few of the quotes that came from that. So relationships have grown stronger. Partnership is just continuing to expand. And while I talk about these grants a lot from those local media areas, a big part of this is also that collaboration that we see, and we hope that these grants are able to foster that. And I think that you can see these from those quotes. And you can also see sometimes too that is just a challenge. Even probably more today, it's just a challenge getting people together. So we want to hear what those challenges are, so when we're with our next round of grantees, we'll be able to address that. So it's nice to hear about that from a big picture. I thought it would really be nice today for y'all to hear from one of our 8 grantees. I know it's been a while since we've done that. So I'm going to introduce Janet Alvin. She is here from Baldwin County. And Janet, I know y'all have done great work, and I just have to tell the board, you told me earlier that you have a great It's always nice to hear.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me today. I'm happy to be able to represent all of the community grantees generally and to tell you some of the work that's been happening in Baldwin County specifically. Baldwin County was one of the first early learning literacy coalition. They had that mixed up, but sometimes get back. County, and so we've been doing the work together since 2019, and that has given us a really wonderful strategy to actually watch it take place, more funding that we have received, and the partnerships that we've been able to build. So I wanted you to see some of the phases of what we've been doing so that you have an idea of what our particular grant has been funding over the last year. We call it ours Be Strong in School because our early learning center's mascot is the bumblebee. And so anytime we do anything there, we want to enhance that. Bumblebees all over the school. And if you've been down there and you know, what colorful right place it happens to be. But ours was a three-pronged strategy. First and most important was that we were going to support families who had incarcerated parents. And so we identified 20 different families within the school. And our early learning center is our Head Start, our pre-K, and Montessori programs. And so every year, every family is interviewed, and we just added that question into the interview process that they felt they were being looked at differently. We asked everybody, do you have a parent who's incarcerated? And that's how we developed our set of families. And so we wanted to make sure that, first of all, we supported the students, all the needs that they have. That ranges from clothing to food insecurity, whatever they happen to be, we wanted to make sure that they had on hand so the family did not have to spend funds to do that. We also wanted to make sure that they were ready for kindergarten. So that required a lot of tutoring, and you can see down in the right-hand corner, this is our site coordinator with communities and schools, and she's leading what we call storytelling, because when you're 3, 4, 5-year-olds, that's what it is. But what's happening here is that all the resources she's using have a social emotional component. So she's reading a book that is going to be talking about how a little monster is dealing with that he gets angry all the time, and what does he do with that? And so we want to make sure that everything that we're doing has that component to it. So kids think that they're having fun and they're learning in different ways. They're learning a lot of life skills in this. And then we also wanted to make sure that our parents were being supported. And we had ways that we wanted to provide them with resources. So we had them meet as a group with all the parent events. They all had a theme to them. The one that you'll see kind of in the middle to the right, that's a photo of all the resources parents have on literacy. So when you think of literacy, a lot of times thinking, of course, books are going to be included. But in this pack that we're given home was also games to play. Things like Candyland, where you're talking about numbers and letters and colors. Ways that families could enhance your literacy at home with kids, just having a good time, just being a family, just enjoying being together. And one of the things that happened that we weren't anticipating is that our families that were meeting these community events all of a sudden became their own supporters. Because now you've got in a room people who are going through the same challenges that you're facing, and so they began to support one another. And it was absolutely the most beautiful thing I've ever seen take place, that we could have never imagined that would come out of it. But we also wanted to make sure that what they needed, we were able to provide. So there was a very strong relationship with college. So if they needed further education, if they were looking for job skills, whatever it happened to be, that we were there. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure the whole school was receiving resources, and with this type of grant funding, we were certainly able to do that. And so we want to make sure that our teachers and staff receive trauma training. 70% of the kids who live in Baldwin County and go to Baldwin County schools live in poverty. So most of the kids that are learning are going to have that level of trauma already. We were able to develop some curriculum. So all the teachers are using support and resources to meet their standards. Every classroom has a social emotional kit. Teachers have resources to go to when their kids need. We also wanted to make sure that not only in the classroom did the teachers feel supported, but also throughout the school day. So we
calming room, somebody called it a din a minute ago, I love that. Where they go catch their breath, just have fun. But we also gave them a self-care kit that you take home and remind themselves, tell them when you're on everything you're supposed to put off. First, before you help anybody else, we wanted them to know, care about them, we know what kind of love they're under, and ways that we can help them. And then to have parent events for everybody, to provide resources too. And not just things y'all like, a list of things you can do at home with your kids. We actually had things that they could take home with them, ways that they could interact with the kids. And also have our media center just really beefed up really well with all kinds of learning for kids, teachers, and parents, and anybody else who's interested. And there's a couple of studies that I wanted to see on the left-hand side. These, y'all, are the people that you are impacting with funding that you give to. These moms and the kids, and in the middle you'll see there's a grandparent, also who's the caregiver. We cannot do what we are doing without that piece of all the county and the other 158 counties. It's tremendously impactful. My hope is that 50 years from now, people will not even understand why we had to have this level of impact we're making now. Kids who've not been born yet will benefit from what you all are allowing us to do. And just in closing, I want you to know that what you have done is supported our county and leveraged us to be able to reach out for further dollars. We just received a $20,000 save hope. It goes along with all of this work, and it gives us an opportunity to take it from the school building into the neighborhood. So thank you for what you've done, not only for Baldwin, but for all of these communities, because you're making a huge difference in our business. That we all raise up to be strong and healthy and happy and have thank you.
Do you have any questions for Dan? And what have you enjoyed most about it? Can you just do personally?
When you see these families being astounded about what's happening, they come into a room and they're like, wait a minute, all of this is ours? I don't have to buy clothes and book bags, and school supplies and shoes and jackets for my kids. It's been life-changing. And so much so, I mean, you see the emotions that it brings up. I have to remind myself, do not go into that room and start crying. Because truly, y'all, this has made such an impact on these families who are just trying to put one foot in front of the other, just trying to make it, because somebody else is already off in prison. And we have one little 4-year-old girl whose mama was in prison for 10 years. She has so you see the impact that I could go on all day talking, so I'm going to sit down.
All right.
But thank y'all
So
very
this
much.
I think you did. I think you can see the impact of these students, and I think also having the flexibility built in, really, again, Jen, thank you so much for coming. And just all the work that you've been doing. All right, so kind of switching gears, I'm going to ask my colleague Elizabeth. She's going to join me in just a second. We're going to talk about our 2-Gen work, and specifically related to our asset policy acceleration partnership. So just to kind of talk about what 2-Gen is, you just heard it. I mean, I don't know that you could hear 2-Gen working or articulated what we just talked about. It's, we work closely with the Ascend Institute on our work on their slides. And, 2-Gen is really focusing on the child and the family simultaneously. And, I don't really think it's rocket science. Certainly, Allison is sitting want me to say, Head Start has been in Gen for now over 60 years. But I think there has been a more recent renewed focus on it. Sometimes you have to state what you're doing to make sure that Gen is part of the work that Commissioner Jacobs does on the children's cabinet. It's part of, our day-to-day work in education services law. It's part of our community transformation grants. That bottom part of the different floors, we say 2Gen, 2 in the end now. We also hear this word called whole family, multi-generational, multi-gen, family, economic mobility, all those different things. We're really talking about parent and child services. So, kind of think about it, I guess, in 2 terms. Coach with 2Gen mindset where we're not only, thinking about 2Gen after the fact, because it's design and, our policies is we're explicit about serving both children and families. That goes into our strategy, aligning and coordinating services. I hope that you heard from Janet, not only the 2Gen pieces, but several other pieces that we've heard throughout the day. So I think that was a very nice wrap up with that. And then, the organization, not only providing services, but also being able to provide the outcomes and the past. When you'll see Elizabeth talking just a few minutes about the June Summit we had, this is one of the slides that Marjorie sent to the speaker from the Ascend Institute talked about. And, she listed all these different research findings that support the 2Gen's approach. So I won't go through each one of these. I mean, we can certainly provide these specific references if you need them. One of the things that I noted is something that I look at when I look at, list of references. There's a lot of very recent references here. So it's not that 2Gen research is something that we're just using research we have from 30 or 40 years ago. I think the oldest citation is 2007, and those recent citations. So not only is the work going on, but the research around the work is going on as well. And then before I turn over to Elizabeth, just talking about our grant. So this is a grant that we received in March 2021. Our funders are the Ascend Institute, and this work was also supported by the Liz Blake Giving Fund Foundation. So we essentially had 2 funders for our grant. The purpose of our specific grant was to support cities, counties, states, and committees to increasing economic mobility and well-being to our parents. So with this grant, we have a very specific population of students. And, while we may be the grant administrator per se, we are equal partners in the grant process. A lot of our 2Gen work is done, and you see a lot of alignment with our different staff at DECAL, and TCHT staff. Our grant is extended to December 2022, so we'll be wrapping this grant up soon. There's a lot of reporting at the end of the grant, so I know Elizabeth and I are that part behind this, and then you can see our different target populations there. Those are groups that we work with, both us and CSG. And with that, I'm over to Elizabeth.
Good morning. Thanks, Melanie. So the overall goal of this grant was to improve and strengthen coordination across childhood, post-secondary, state benefit services, resulting in strong alignment between programs and initiatives. And there were 5 goals. I'm going to take you through each of the goals and some of our accomplishments under each of those areas. So the first goal is cross-agency policy alignment and defining shared goals and opportunities for cross-agency policy alignment at the state level. And we achieved under this goal convening a state 2Gen advisory council that was formed in 2021. And that was to talk about policy barriers, challenges, solutions at a state level. And then we also
did an eligibility crosswalk. This is combine the eligibility criteria for both state benefit programs and enrollment in technical schools, workforce, and into one document, which is really helpful for the various agencies involved, and is the foundation that we can hopefully expand in the future to make it a usable document for the general public as well. What we learned doing this, was that it was very complicated and there was a lot of information and it doesn't all align perfectly. And so trying to put it into a visual format that other people who are in the middle of all this work can understand is definitely a challenge. And then we also convened community to Gen advisory councils, and we implemented it in 3 communities around TCSG campuses in Metro Atlanta, in North and in South Georgia. And then also talk about barriers, challenges, solutions at the community level. And the discussion at these meetings drove some of the conversation at that state level advisory council. And then currently DECAL and TCSG are working on a data sharing agreement that would allow CAPS access to some of TCSG's enrollment information. And this relieves the burden for families who are applying for CAPS whose activity is that they're enrolled in one of these programs that's offered by TCSG, because we'll be able to get that there instead of them having to obtain and provide this for us. And then this data sharing agreement would allow TCSG access to some of the DECAL's data as well to understand even who some of their students are that are parents. The second goal, it was about increased access, and it's to increase access for single mothers and student parents for state, community, and educational supports and opportunities. So TCSG signed on as a community partner in Georgia Gateway, state's integrated eligibility system. As a Gateway community partner, TCSG trains staff to help student parents identify and apply that they may qualify for, assisting them with navigating these programs. And I can't do it justice the way that they do when they talk about it. They said it was so helpful to help be able to connect the students that they're serving and not just refer them somewhere else, but be able to literally help them apply for the benefits that they might qualify for that are already on childcare. That's one of them that's in Georgia Gateway, of course, supplemental nutrition assistance program is in there, as well as temporary assistance for needy families and WIC. So, and medical assistance, I'm sorry. So we launched, in addition to the Georgia Gateway partners, we launched Find Help Georgia. This is past spring in partnership with Prevent Child Abuse Georgia. Find Help Georgia is a resource portal shared across agencies and organizations that provides a collaborative network where people can go to one place for support based on a comprehensive directory of local resources. People can reach Find Help Georgia and get assistance online, by phone, and via a chat feature to connect with resources from financial assistance to food pantries and other free and reduced cost services. We're currently working on an awareness campaign and getting community-based organizations to claim their information on the site. The wonderful thing about Find Help Georgia is there is actually an organization behind it that does bi-annual updates of the information. So we don't have outdated information generally, but if a site who's listed, any nonprofit or other service state agency that provides services is listed and claims their site, they can go in anytime and update information, so you really have good, robust information for people who are searching. And then also, I think you guys talked about this in the past couple of board meetings, added a new priority group for student parents on May 1st of this year. As a reminder, to be eligible for CAPS, one must be in a priority group and meet eligibility requirements. Student parents often cite childcare as a barrier for participating in training and education programs. This policy change helps align support for student parents by providing greater access to quality childcare so they can further their education or training. And since implementing this priority group last May, DECAL has received approximately 7,500 applications under this particular priority. And to me, and of course, I'm going to be biased on this one because this one's part of my program that I oversee, but this is the grant in action. It's a policy acceleration partnership grant, and we're partnering with TCSG and, of course, other higher ed, but currently with TCSG to help provide a service to and do a policy change that helps provide a service to their students and the children. So it's really two gen in action as well, a great example. And then the third goal of the grant falls under coaching and case management, strengthening coaching and case management skills for state and community level staff. And so under this goal, we launched family centered coaching. But the goal of family centered coaching is to put families in the driver's seat to set and achieve their own goals, because they are the experts in their own lives. DECAL and TCSG staff completed the first portion of family centered coaching training on mindset, and it focused on staff interactions with families and how they can support them in achieving goals that they set themselves. A tremendous response was received from staff about how they universal that. In this training, they looked at how they grew up, their own biases, how they might apply those biases to the interactions they have with families. And it's really helpful to think about those things in thinking about how we can best serve the families we work with. And then a subset of staff who work directly with supporting families, like the family support staffing and CAS, have completed the second portion of family-centered coaching and training on developing the toolkit. This provides specialized training on how to implement the coaching role in the work that we do. Sorry. So the fourth goal, parent goal, is ensuring parents are included in conversations and strategies to reduce and eliminate barriers to needed services and to inform new practices and policies. So under this, I already talked about the State 2Gen Advisory Council and those community 2Gen Advisory Councils. The important part here is that we had parents who were participating in those, not just to present and say what their experience was, but to really participate as a member on those councils to help contribute to the information that we were discussing about policy or anything else. And in order to prepare those parents for that role, they participated in values-based leadership training to help them to find their voice and to be comfortable in the meeting, sharing their experience and their thoughts. And then in addition, Carl Vincent Institute of Government conducted parent interviews to understand the successes, challenges, barriers, and to understand their general experience as student parents. They reported those results to that state leadership council. And then our final or fifth goal was to expand the 2Gen Georgia network to other state and community partners. So Find Help Georgia, the resource and referral portal that was referenced under the second goal, it increased access, but also it will serve to expand our 2Gen Georgia network, and that agencies and organizations have the opportunity to join the partnership under the overall umbrella of Find Help Georgia, but with an individualized staff site so they can participate in a shared assessment that families would complete and enhance referral and data tracking capabilities. So this website, it of course does its main job, which is to provide resources to families in need, and to connect people. But it also really connects different agencies together if we all use the same resource referral portal. And it has incredible data tracking and referral tracking capabilities to help us know what the outcome of the referral that was made was. And so we're really excited about that. And then in addition, we will continue to offer the 2Gen Innovation Grants for capacity building. Those are $25,000 grants, and implementation, those are $10,000 grants. And then we have, as Billy mentioned, our 2Gen in Action, 2Gen Georgia Summit on October 19th. and presented jointly by DECAL and CCSG as the partners in this grant. It was a wonderful day, honestly. We enjoyed a keynote address from Marjorie Sims, who's the managing director for Ascend at the Aspen Institute, on the 2-gen approach and why it's so important. And they're really the leaders in the field on our 2-gen work. And so we're really honored that she was able to join us and speak to the group. And then we also got to hear from several partners and grantees about how they are putting 2-gen in action, and from a couple of our student parents who served in the advisory committees about their experience doing that, and of course as a student parent. And so I think it may have been a grant that was $150,000, but we did a lot. And I'm really proud of the work that the group did on this grant and all the things that are going to continue. And to me, that's the sign of a really big grant. We have a bunch of grants that's going to keep going after the grant is over. It wasn't just try it out and it's over. Bentley, is there anything you want to add about the 2-gen innovation grants or the 2-gen summit?
Just I know our 2 divisions are doing work together.
Definitely. Any questions? Okay, well, I don't hold anybody back for lunch.
Thank you. So we will now begin our public comment period regarding issues related to early care and education. I remind everyone that this is not a question and answer session. Audra, do we have anyone present in the conference room who has signed up to speak?
No, we do not have anyone present to share any public comments.
Do we have anyone who has submitted written comments to go to webinar chat box?
No.
Very good. So now we'll move to our committee reports. We'll start with the program committee, followed by the budget and finance committee, and then we'll wrap up with the quality innovation center partnership committee. So we'll start with rules. We will begin with the budget and finance committee. I'm sorry, with programs committee. Yes, with the programs committee.
Okay, so we had an update on CAS, as we heard about earlier, the student parent priority group has been added. They've received 7,500 applications from that priority group already, so that's very exciting. That represents 70% of all the applications that have received. And so far, the student parent groups, or the student parent priority group members that are being served currently, 30% are working on associate's degrees, 23% on bachelor's degrees, 16% on technical certificates. So that's very exciting because we know that variance or increases in overall lifetime income that can contribute to and better our children's outcomes. So that's wonderful. Also, lots and lots of grants going on for our school age programs. So also very, very exciting, trying to build capacity, quality, and safety for those programs. So again, talking about what we heard earlier, grants providing for materials, curriculum, and the health and safety most important. And so oftentimes it's the larger childcare facilities. We talk about capacity, they get more money, but there's also been a shift there to try to help childcare facilities that are kind of struggling with need, staying in compliance because of need. Maybe they have safety concerns in the playground or fencing or what have you that they simply can't afford to repair. So really trying to break down those barriers and help the childcare facilities to be the strong, safe place that they want to be. So that's awesome. And then next for our pre-K grants, also from the federal recovery funds. Looking at each pre-K classroom has received $5,000, and that goes to classroom materials, supplies, furniture, and equipment. And then also there is a new round of little grants, and that's looking at toddlers environments. And so just looking, providing training, coaching, and literacy outcomes for our littlest students. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Kristen with our finance update.
At our meeting, Deputy Commissioner Ryan Ringstrud gave us the next month update from what we saw in our regular meeting. So we went from September 30th to October 31st. And the exciting news is it was kind of a not too exciting budget change, which is a good thing in the finance world. It was very consistent. At the end of the September update in the normal meeting, the budget was at about the 75% range for all the different departments. And when we got to the end of October, everything was around the mid 60s, upper 60s, which is kind of very much in line with where it should be at that time of the year. The number that was different that we see in the beginning of the budget year is a little pre-K that was at 72% versus I think it was more like 81 the month before. And again, that's because there's not a payment for pre-K in July, so that starts out higher in the budget year and kind of counts on throughout the year, so that's consistent. The other thing is high at this point still is at 82% of the other category, and that's just other categories such as money coming in for fees for things like public record requests, license fees, and grants. And those vary from year to year, so those funds come in throughout the year, tend to get paid out at the end of the year, so nothing unusual there. So again, nothing exciting, which is always good in the budget. The next, basically, they did a visual and showed us what's shown in the encumbrances, which is in the yellow, and then it shows up in the expenditure. So just the visual, which is helpful. And last but not least, something that's always good for DECAL, which is very something with people who budgets, which I look at a lot, is you like to compare, you look at your revenue and your expenditures. They showed us by program, which included obviously child care services, pre-K, nutrition and quality initiatives. They break it down by operations and then grants and benefits. If you look at the total budget of 571 million, of which 538 million are grants and benefits. If you run numbers, that comes out to, I believe it was, I think it was 94%. So 94% goes out to grants and benefits to those people. So it's the people business, and that's good to know. And I would asterisk that in the minutes to know that that is basically kind of a, usually it's high during these COVID numbers because of the amount of grant thing is coming in. So normally in the budget, you try to have the 80, 90, 90% qualified people. So as we go back to normal times, the CARES federal money starts to go back down to normal, that number will go back from 94 down to the 80, 90% range, which is still fantastic. So it's a little bit, what's the word we skewed right now? It's a little high, which is very, very good. But that's because so much money is coming in to go out to the grants and things. So very good at 94, but in normal times it'll go back down to the lower number, and that's okay in the future. And that's it for the budget report.
Thank you so much. And now Susan will update us on quality innovations and partnerships.
So one of the things that Bentley informed us about was the Early Head Start Child Care Partnerships. And this is where the Early Head Start program is actually in a child care facility. There are situations where Early Head Start has its own facility, but this is different in that this partnership, the Early Head Start is operating inside a child care program. So they have to follow the regulations that Early Head Start sets forth, which is more expectations than might be put on the average infant. And what is it, 18 months? Early Head Starts?
3 years.
Up to 3 years. So anyway, there's a requirement that a certain percentage of these children engaged in that are also eligible for CAPS. There's a big challenge with the workforce because most child care center partners have vacancies and they rely on long-term substitutes and floaters. Whereas all businesses and all educational facilities are having issues with qualified employees and keeping their employees. DECAL though is fully staffed and embedded in their programs. And then we have the research area of quality innovations. They have a partnership with contract with Urban Institute to provide research and evaluation of these 4 different projects. One is a CAPS research. One is a non-traditional hours business partnership grants. I know in my area there was one director, and he was trying to establish a non-traditional hour daycare because, which could mean, and he was working on overnight care. We have a huge hospital in Dougherty County, and so you have these hospital workers, and they might be single parent, and if they can't find family or somebody to care for their child overnight, then it prevents employment. So their need, difficulty setting that up though is real. The first time I heard it advertised, I thought, these people are they licensed? Do they have qualifications to do? And because it's such a novel concept to me that you would have overnight childcare facility. But then when I started looking into it, you find that the need is really, really great, but there's not that many that actually are in effect. And then all of these research projects are looked at with a secondary analysis of it, with different eyes and different perspectives to analyze these particular programs. In our quality rated, maybe the video that's shown tomorrow is everybody at home seen this video?
No, we'll talk next week.
All right, so tune in next time for the video that Bentley has hidden in his pocket. As of 11/15, there are 2,862 quality rated providers. This is 67% of eligible providers. In that, as of 2019, there were 44% quality rated, 53% of the providers in 2020, and 63% of the providers were quality rated in 2021. So you got 23 percentage point gain. We are making progress in getting the child providers quality rated. Of course, the last number of years have put significant challenges on child care and all areas of our life. We're fighting that battle of getting them quality rated through some very unusual and difficult circumstances. There are currently 160 programs with provisional ratings, 99 providers with probationary rating status. And during the COVID pandemic and all of the shutdowns, not everybody was completely shut down with the child care, but there were no on-site visits from the consultants to look at these programs, and we worked diligently to provide alternate means of them either getting a provisional quality rate for 1 year, and several different means to help the providers get a rating. Now we're going back into consultants will be visiting these facilities, whereas during this it was all done through Zoom portfolios and methods that were not face to face. But in July of 22nd of this year, they started back with personal visits to these facilities. And the last one had been done was March of 2020. So, that's over 2 years that we did not have consultants actually being able to go into the facilities. So we're coming out of this and we worked hard to help the providers with what they needed during this and giving them opportunities to participate in the quality rating. And then there's a list of community outreach partnerships. And so we've got about 8 different community transformation grantees that they receive grants. And so I won't read all of them. Bentley did mention them, and they may be in your notes of who. I had a particular question, and because in one of our presenters here today, Forrest talked about United Way providing money for a program, and here we are giving United Way of Central Georgia a grant for a program in a different direction. So we've got all of these community organizations that work collaboratively and back and forth and put the money specifically where a need could be filled. So that United Way, they had hired a bilingual full-time parent educator and contracted with First Step Screener to help families in that particular area of Georgia. Any other questions?
Thank you so much. Mr. Ponder, do we have any additional business? Well, yes, that concludes our fourth quarter board meeting. I can hardly believe it's the last one of the 2022 year. Our next board meeting will be February 16th, 2023. Hardly believe it. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn around because it's so rude. Bye-bye, everybody. I want to wish all of you all a happy holiday, blessed holiday, your family. I can't wait to get back to work again in 2023. I was working on that.